Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. How are we doing? I hope you're all really well. Today is day 7 of the live challenge, speaking about my passions, and I'm really excited to be joining you again today. So I've spoken about my passion for people, for animals, for life, for truth, for authenticity, for empowerment, and it's interesting that a lot of those things are things that I highly value as well. So I love that they're connected and that they are things that are very important in how I live my life and are related to what I do, my purpose, and all of those good things. So today, I was not sure exactly what I wanted to speak about, like, and hone it down in one word. And I guess the word, if it was to come to it, would be love. Um, which my past self would be like, "Ugh," talking about love, but I'm not like, it's interesting that relationship with it. I think many of us thinking about self-love or things like that, like, because I'm not talking about romantic love, even though that's lovely, but I'm talking about love in that, in the energy of love, in the motivator of love, in the drive of love, because I believe that we do things from two places. It's fear or love. And I've been speaking a lot about fear on my page on Instagram. I'm doing a masterclass on fear on Monday the 26th of April, like freedom from fear. And the reason I think that's so important is because many of us are living in fear and we're not living from a place of love. And I believe it tends to be one or the other. Now, that doesn't mean that we're gonna lose the other. It's where we're acting from, it's where we're living from, it's where our responses come from, where our reactivity maybe comes from, where our interaction with life comes from. Is it from a place of love or is it from a place of fear? And I want to speak about love because it's like just such a powerful force, and it transformed my life, I guess, in learning to love myself. That was the biggest change in my life, because when I was living from a place of fear, that was when I was afraid to speak my truth. I was afraid to answer a question in class. I was afraid to get good marks in case of the response. I was afraid to say anything. I was afraid to be myself. I was afraid to live a lot of the time. I was terrified of life. I was terrified to leave the house. I was terrified of being judged, of failing, of not being good enough. And that kept my life. Where do you think that kept my life? It kept it in this tiny fucking box where it was so small, it was so restricted, it was so limited, and it was so not mine. It was so not me. It was so not like what I believe I'm here for. And so there was this like conflict of where, like, there was that me inside, there was the real me, the one that you see now. Like, she was in there and she was never given a chance to speak. And I believe that that part of me was rooted in love. That part of all of us that has something more to say, that is connected to purpose, that is connected to connection, that part of us is the love part of us. And that's the part that just wants to look after us and that wants us to pursue our dreams, to own our truths, to be all of who we are, to be stepping into that every single day and living from that place, to be contributing to be getting our words right. No, that part of us that just wants to be living, to be really living. I believe that that is love. Fear doesn't want us to go and try new things. Fear doesn't want us to like step out of our little box. Fear doesn't want that. It wants us to stay safe and stay protected, which is nice. Okay, that's okay. That's nice of it. If there's ever any actual danger, yes, fear is good to have so I can run away or freeze or whatever I need to do in that scenario. But in day-to-day life, the way that we react to life, if it's coming from a place of fear, we've got to start asking it questions and start asking instead, what would love do here? What would I do if I truly loved myself? If I actually loved myself? And that's not about being arrogant. A lot of people fear loving themselves because they're like, oh, then I'll be arrogant. Then I'll be like that prick I know who's full of himself or whatever. We fear this because we're relating it to other people. I wholeheartedly believe that if we actually love ourselves, it does not come across as arrogant. It may rub people up the wrong way because it's triggering the fact that they don't love themselves. But if we are rooted in love, then we're not going to be arrogant. We're not going to be trying to prove ourselves. We're not going to be coming from that energy. We're going to be coming from a loving energy, which resonates differently. It oozes differently. It's just a different force of nature. So coming from a place of love is just about really loving yourself. It's like if it was a child, if it was a puppy, how would you be reacting to them? Would you be telling them that they're shit? Would you be telling them to not try to do anything new? Would you be telling them to suppress their true feelings? Would you be telling them to stay at home and do nothing, don't live your life, just stay afraid? Or would you be telling them to go and live their one precious life? Would you be telling them to try something different, to go ahead, to let themselves be heard and seen and known and exude who they really are? This is the thing. We treat ourselves so differently than we treat anyone else. But if we were to come to that place of love, of Maitri, as it's said in, I think it's Sanskrit, and that Buddhism, they'd speak about loving kindness. And then Pema Chodron, she's a Buddhist nun, and she speaks about it as like unconditional friendliness towards the self. And I think that's such a beautiful idea. If we could be unconditionally friendly towards ourselves, because yeah, the word love, it might bring up stuff in us, like it did for me before. I was like, I don't want to love myself because I was making it mean this thing. But now that I do love myself, I realize that it's just unconditional friendliness. It's just treating myself in a way that I would want to be treated, that I would treat anybody else as a human, not seeing them for every mistake they make or anything that they get wrong or for how other people might perceive them, but seeing them as the human that they are, with all of the beautiful gifts they have, with everything they have to offer, with everything that they are as humans. If we can come from that place of love for ourselves, what would change in our lives? Like, imagine how we'd be living if we actually had our own backs, if we actually celebrated ourselves, if we actually gave ourselves credit for showing up, for speaking, for having an opinion, for choosing to do something different, for owning our truth. Imagine if we stopped judging ourselves so harshly and just let ourselves be. Imagine if we actually encouraged ourselves to go and try new things instead of being held back by the possibility of it going wrong, or the fact that we might make a mistake, we might trip up, we might hurt ourselves, we might experience pain. Are we willing to let this shit hold us back anymore? Or are we not excited to see what could happen if we start loving ourselves, if we start loving our lives, if we start living from a place of love in all our interactions, in every aspect, in all the ways that we show up? What would be different then? This I feel so strongly about, because if we could change one thing in the world, I wholeheartedly believe if we change this one thing and we all lived from a place of love instead of a place of fear, everything would change. Everything would change. We would be not interacting with the planet in the way that we are. We'd be respecting it. We would not be treating animals the way we would. We'd be respecting them. We would not be treating each other in the harsh ways where there would not be wars, there would not be the separation, there would not be inequality, there would not be any of these things if we lived from a place of love. Because love is about abundance, it's about plenty, it's about there's enough for everyone and everyone is deserving. What we live in is fear and scarcity, where we're pointing fingers, we're looking for blame, we're telling people what they should and shouldn't be doing, we're withholding our love, we're trying to judge others, we're trying to put people in boxes. That's fear based. And that's something that is prevalent in our world today. So I wholeheartedly believe if we made this one change, if we all just started living from a place of love, everything would change and we'd actually be able to move towards that higher consciousness of peace, of acceptance, of love, where we'd all be radiating different, where we'd be manifesting what we want, where we'd be living lives that are fulfilled and purposeful, and where we all work together, where we all interact together, where we're interdependent. We're not trying to take things from each other, but we're cooperating. That's what's possible with love, that collaborative, connective, collective sense. That is what's possible in love. And that's what I believe that we can all create if we stop giving in so much to fear, if we stop living from that place of fear and actually just allow ourselves to fall in love with ourselves, allow ourselves to fall in love with our fellow humans, with our fellow animals, with our fucking planet, and allow ourselves to just love and respect and live from that place. Allow our behaviors to catch up with that feeling and just be unconditionally friendly to ourselves, to others, to the environment we live in. So that's my speech for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And this is day 7 of 7. And the reason that I've been doing these videos is because of the Embodiment Alchemists, which is an incredible, incredible group of loving individuals, people who do live from love, who are absolutely amazing. And it is run by Steve Knapp and Catherine Jane. And if you would like to join the next round, they do a 30-day challenge that just really is like an incredible practice in stepping into the life you want to be living, into really embodying these things and having the most supportive network of humans ever to actually support that journey and to celebrate you and to be on that with you, doing the work with you and not just trying to tell you what to do, but it's collaborative, it's beautiful. And if you want any more information, I will stick the link in the comments. So thank you so much again. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and I will talk to you very soon.